Hello, this is the Code Critics. In this episode, we will discuss code comments and why they often do more harm than good. I will use a real-world example to convince you that there are better ways than comments, or not. First, let us clarify what a comment is. In the example code here, the green text is a docstring and is perfectly fine. It typically describes the purpose and parameters of a function, class, or module. It could be written as a Python comment with a hash symbol, and it still would be fine. It is the intent that matters here, not the syntax. In contrast, the lines marked in red are comments and annotate blocks of code or single statements. I will show you why those comments are not useful. Firstly, most comments don't add value. The function calls toGray followed by resize tell the whole story. The comment is not contributing any new information whatsoever. Number 2, comments take up space. Less code on the screen means less context, which makes it harder to understand the code. 3, comments are extra work to write, and if they don't add any value, it's just a waste of time. But it is even worse, since comments need to be updated when the code changes, and that is often forgotten, which leads us to the last point. Comments and code can disagree. The comment says A, but the code says B. Who's right? Is it a bug in the code, or is the comment wrong? So the conclusion is, do not write comments. And I'm not alone with this. John Susser. A comment is a lie waiting to happen. Kernighan. Don't comment bad code. Rewrite it. And Kent Beck. A comment is the code's way of asking to be more clear. There is one fundamental rule, and that is a comment must add value. If not, it should be removed or replaced. Here the classical example of a comment that does not add any value. And I have seen examples like this in production code. We could remove this comment or replace it by something much better, a function. I will show you how that works in practice. This is a piece of code I came across by accident. It is not bad code at all and probably was designed as a tutorial and therefore has many comments. However, I have seen similar code in production, and we will use this example to demonstrate that comments are more harmful than useful and can be replaced to great benefit with functions. The code computes a sentence similarity. What that means and how it works, we don't care. We just want to get rid of all comments. Let's start with the first one, tokenize and tag. If you look at the code, it calls pause tag and word tokenize. So the comment is not adding any value, and we will replace it by a function. This also removes the code duplication for sentence 1 and sentence 2. We jump a bit ahead to the comment filter out the nones. And there already is one of the problems I mentioned before. The comment says filter out the nones, but if you look at the code, the two list comprehensions filter out nones, but also empty sets. Is this a bug or not? Which one is right, the code or the comment? We don't know, but the code and the comment are not in complete agreement, which is problematic. Let's replace it by a function and assume the comment is right. We filter out only the non-values. Now back to the line, get the synsets for the tagged words. Again, the comment does not add any value and we're going to replace it. And since those synsets are computed from tokenized sentences and later filtered for nones, we can use our newly created functions tokenize and remove none. Note that we have easily reduced the amount of code by a factor of 2. Have removed all code duplications and all comments in this section. The remaining code is a bit more challenging to refactor, but even more rewarding to fix. First, we move the computation of best scores to a function. The outer loop that iterates over synsets 1 can be replaced by a list comprehension, and the summing up of the best scores is then just a sum over the list comprehension. There is some filtering of nones required, but remember, we have a function for that already, and we're going to use it. Putting it all together, we are ending up with this implementation of sentence similarity. Not only is the code shorter, but it is simpler and more readable. The if statement and the for loops are gone, and each function is either a one-liner or a simple sequence of statements. Also, the helper variable count is gone. All code repetition is gone, and the score computation has been dramatically simplified. All comments have been replaced by function names, and potential conflicts between code and name are at least reduced. We still could have issues with badly chosen function names, but it is less of a risk. Finally, we have a more modular code with reusable functions such as remove none, tokenize, and synsets. To summarize, if you need a comment to explain your code, something is probably wrong with the code, and you're better off rewriting it instead of commenting bad code. The way to do it is to replace comments by functions. Also, good naming of variables and functions removes the need for comments. Your code should be readable as it is. There are occasions where comments are permissible. For instance, pieces of code that are potentially confusing and for some reason just cannot be made clearer. Code that has unexpected side effects, for instance closing a database, or code that looks innocent but is actually dangerous to change. But all in all, comments should be very rare. And that's it. Thank you for listening.